Hi, this is Abel Stewart again. This is lesson number 4. So at this point you've learned a couple chords, you got your first song down. I want to go back and review a couple things that are pretty important that we didn't talk about earlier. And that is, first of all, how do you actually hold the guitar? So if you have a strap, this makes it somewhat easier. Not all guitars have one, or even a place where you can put one. But if you have a place where you can put a strap and you've purchased one, that's a really good thing. So a lot of guitars, the strap will connect here at the base of the neck and at the bottom of the instrument right here. If you don't have a place at the base of the neck, a lot of guitars you can actually run it up here and they'll have a string that you can run through here, tie that around the head, go kind of inside the strings there, and that will hold the guitar just fine on this end. Now if you don't have any place where you can put a strap, which some classical guitars a lot of times don't, they sell straps where you can actually hook it on the bottom of the hole, run it underneath the instrument up around your neck, and a lot of classical guitarists will use that as well, so that's certainly fine. Now if you either don't have a strap or don't necessarily want to use one, that's fine too. So let's talk about how to actually hold the instrument. The more classical position involves raising your left foot. You can prop it up on a coffee can or on pedals, which are made for that purpose. But one way or another, elevate your left foot. You're going to rest the guitar on your left leg and kind of resting on your right leg as well, so in between. And this top part rested on your sternum. What that'll do is it'll put it in this position. An advantage of that, it gives a nice diagonal shape to how the guitar is positioned. And so, for instance, for bar chords, for scale work, it puts it in a really nice position where you can see what you're doing on the fretboard. So it's really convenient in that sense, and it's also pretty comfortable for a lot of chords. However, there is another way of doing it, which is just as good. One's not necessarily better than the other. And that is to raise your right foot, like so, and rest the guitar on your right leg, with the crook of the guitar sitting on your knee, or on your leg. And you notice that puts it more straight across. A lot of rock guitarists like this type of position for the guitar. If you're doing power chords, if you're doing things like that, it can be pretty convenient for that too. A lot of it depends on what you want to do, what's more comfortable, not necessarily right or wrong. So try different positions, see what feels best for you. And if you have a strap, you can actually adjust the strap more toward either position to adapt the guitar to whatever feels best for you. So the main rule of guitar, if it sounds good and feels comfortable, great. The guitar is pretty flexible in a lot of ways. Alright, so let's talk about a couple different strum patterns also. So now you got a couple chords, you got a song down. Let me show you some different things that you can do with it. So we're going to go on a G chord, if you learned that already. And a couple strum patterns we can do. One is I'm going to do a straight 8th note rock strum. So 1, 2, and 3, and 4, and 1, and 2, and 3, and 4, 1, and 2, and 3, and 4, and 1, and 2, and... So if you're doing the song we did, Father Abraham had many sons had Father Abraham. It kind of gives a little bit of rhythm to it, which is a cool thing. Now, with that straight 8th strum, what you can do is to play with the accents. And this is where you can get a lot of really interesting patterns that can sound really good. So one is to go weak, weak, strong, weak, 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 strong. Father Abraham had many sons had Father Abraham. And this is all in the accents. So you're going to go weak, weak, strong, weak, 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 strong, weak, 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 2, and then speed that up. And so on, right? Now, if you're doing a little more country, a little more folk style, you can do weak, strong. Many sons had Father Abraham. I am one of them, and so are you. So let's just praise the Lord right on. Like that. And you hear how it kind of, it's a very kind of country folkish type beat. Another pattern you can do, if you want to stick in more of the rock genre, going back to our straight eighths, is what we call palm muting. So palm muting, even if you're using those just straight eighth notes, if you just lightly touch your hand to the strings, you hear how it gives a mix of some notes and some percussive type sound. Now, depending on how close you hold your hand or how how much you choke it in or not, it's more open, more choked or muted. So muted, you could do. Father Abraham had many sons had Father Abraham. I am one of them, and so are you. So let's just praise the Lord right on, Father Abraham. So a little more rock type beats there. All right, so we'll talk about how to use these on some of the songs coming up. But for now, experiment. Try some of those different patterns on each of the songs that we do. See what works well, what doesn't. There's a lot of room for experimentation on this. So again, let's just review. You have your straight eighths. 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 4. Accents, weak, weak, strong, weak, 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 strong, weak, 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 strong, weak, weak, da, 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 like that. A little more country folkish. Da, 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 da. All of those are straight eighth notes. It's just a matter of how much emphasis you put on it and on which ones. That'll give you a really different sounds depending on what you do with it. Play around with it. As you feel comfortable, try implementing that on some of the songs that come up.